Wow. I woke up this morning with a clear understanding of God's plan. And in order for Him to reveal that plan to me, He had to teach me something about angels, Lucifer, the other worlds, and put it together with my personal experiences with what He has given me. Now, I cannot share any of this with any of you. The only reason why I'm telling you is because I want you to know that whatever you've heard, whatever you've been listening to, it is filtered, and I've said it before and I will say it again. It is filtered through the flesh of man. Uh, the enemy can only go as far as the man's thinking goes, the man's feeling goes, and the man's understanding goes. And he can't go any further than those boundaries of the flesh. So man thinks, oh, well, I died to the flesh because I did this and I did that. I went through this, I went through that. And none of it is true. None of it. It takes so much time and efforts to be with God and walk with God. Well, see, well, I walked with Him. Sure you did. For a few moments, sure you did. But this is why He's not on your every word. This is why He's not on your every prayer. This is why when you pray, it doesn't seem to come to pass. Because there are an anointed few, a tiny few of people that God has been talking to them, and none of them are grown up enough in understanding enough to hear His voice, because none of them are willing to give up what they know, what they understand, what they see, what they hear, in order to hear the real message. And this is not going to be given to the masses. This is not going to be given to anybody who is searching and looking for a way to get closer to God. You people are precious in the sight of God. He wants you to get as close as you possibly can. But I'm talking about the leadership of the church. And even those who believe they are in the hierarchy and understanding of the church may never come to this understanding and conclusion, because it is not the way that they think. Everybody reaches for the highest of everything. Everybody reaches to know everything. Everybody reaches to understand the Antichrist, to understand the angels, to understand all of this, just like watching a movie. It captivates your interest. Because you see, the flesh feeds all this. Because as long as he's got you feeding in a frenzy over here, he can do whatever he wants over here. As long as he has you thinking that you have it all and you understand everything, he could do whatever he wants to over here. So he knows exactly how to get you. Now, the enemy only knows one thing, and I said this to you before, and I will say it to you again. Deception. He was a liar from the beginning, and he knows how to lie real good. He knows how to captivate your interest in your mind, your body, your spirit, your emotions. He knows how to bring all of that together because he is a supernatural being. But the one thing he doesn't have, he is not God. He does not know God's plans. He doesn't know what God had in store for man when he created him, because had he known, he would never, never have been able to deceive man. And God allowed it to happen so that he could bring man out of all deception, because he knows how he made the flesh. But he also knows how he made the angels and how he made Lucifer. He also knows to the depth of his understanding, to the highest depth, to the all the width, and down to the deepest things. He knows. God knows all about it. and he's laughing. He's laughing because he wrote a book. I took a look in the back of the book and he's defeated, for we know how the story ends. But you see, man is very, very, I would say, in some ways, for some, very foolish. In their ignorance, their lack of understanding. Now, listen to what I'm telling you. Lucifer only knows this much, and this much according to who he is. The angels only know this much, and this much, and this much according to who they are. That's why Paul the Apostle talked about the height and the depth. See, he talked about knowing to the limit of who they are. But you see, you people study him to find out about him, and you're way off course. As long as you are focusing on studying, this one means this, that one means this, and this, you can't see what's going on here. Now, God didn't call you to find out what's going on here or to see the depth of this because you won't listen to him. From the very beginning of all religion that was corrupted, you followed the doctrine, you followed the religion, you followed this, and you followed that. And even now, if you decide to repent of that and you think God's going to open a door, I got news for you. No. For when you think God is going to, oh, but I'm your child, I did this and I did that, and he's looking at you saying, get away from me, you ye that work iniquity, I never knew you. He doesn't just say that up there. He says that down here. So when you try to bombard the doors of heaven and you plead the blood and you pray and you pray and you pray, we're going to pull down those strongholds. We're going to understand. He did not give it to you because you won't listen. You want it your way. And it is across the whole world that wants it their way. Understand. You cannot look up towards God and make him answer your prayers. You can't make him according to your understanding, which is this high, this wide, and this deep. This is as far as you can go is the human body. Even in your spirit, that's as far as you can go is the spirit of man. Just like Lucifer, as far as he can go is the limit of who he is. Because God created all of you. So, how does God accomplish what he wants? Well, in knowing all things, and I smile at this because we have such an awesome, wonderful God who hid everything in clouds of darkness, in obscurity and judgment, because he knew what man was going to do. Man was going to start digging into this and digging into that, just like he dug into science and he dug into medicine and he dug into all of this. And he knew man was going to do that. So he's sitting there knowing that only Jesus Christ can reach him. And you can't claim him. You can't name him and claim him. To your knowledge, to the limit of your understanding, you can get just so much of him. This much and this much according to who you are. So when man decided that he was going to interpret what God is all about, and I laugh at this because I know it's God, he only got this much and this much because God wasn't revealing himself to anybody. For God does not trust just any man. So when he decided to anoint people, they took it to their limited this much, and this much, and assumed that it means this, this, and this. And God's not limited. He's limitless. So they sit on thrones and they tell everybody what they know and what they don't know, and they tell everybody, and they buy and sell it. They literally buy and sell your souls. Who cares if you don't have anything to feed your family? Who cares if you don't have any? Who cares? I'm sitting on a throne in authority. So I get to decide who lives or dies. Just like Lucifer. I have control of this planet, so I get to decide who lives or dies. Well, until Jesus Christ finished the job. He finished it. Father, it is finished. And he took the keys of death and hell off of Satan. And he didn't. That woman that preaches, he had to fight for it. She's got something wrong with her head. Because I'm telling you, he didn't have to fight for it. It says he took it off of. He didn't say he battled him for it and he had to fight for it. It said he took. All Jesus had to do is say, and Satan had to give it up. As God puts out his hand, Satan has to lay it there. Because after all, he's only a fallen angel. And I've been saying this to certain people of how, and no matter what they do, even now, they cannot see into the realm that I'm talking about. Because they have certain things that God wants done within their hearts and minds that they can't get there without it. And every one of them are trying to. So they stand and they say, God tells us this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is going to happen. And then the battle starts because God told us to fight and resist and this. But he didn't. No. He said, resist the devil and he will flee. He did not say, fight the devil. A battle, I have seen preachers and heard preachers say, well, we go toe to toe with Satan. Well, if you go toe to toe to Satan, it's like this. You're equals, toe to toe. God never goes toe to toe with Satan. So if God is inside of you and you're going toe to toe with Satan, you're equal. The height that you have, the depth that you have, and the width that you have is only as much as God lets you to have because of the foolishness and the evil of your imagination. Because God says he's not of this world. But to the limit of your thinking, you can picture that. To the limit of your understanding, you can get a good picture through the imagination of your heart, which is why he destroyed the earth with the flood. Because the imagination of the heart went according to the flesh, which was continually evil against God. Because he tells you your flesh will always war. The world wars with God. Now, I'm not telling you God's warring, because he don't have to. And I'm not telling, there's going to be a war, a big war. Yeah. But he's going to glorify Jesus Christ, which right now there are religions that claim he's going to, when Jesus comes back, Satan is going to be glorified, not God, because Satan is God. And you don't even know where the origin of your real religion came from. You only know that this one claimed to have it all and had ancient writings, and this one broke off from it, and this one broke off from it, and this one broke off from it, and each one of them said, I got it. God, and you know what? All through these ages, you know what God did? He let many of you go because he loved you. He let many of you because I told you. God doesn't show up in a church because the preacher's so great or he prayed so many weeks and he fasted. That's not why God did it. God did it because if there is one person that really is searching for Jesus Christ, he will be there to heal them and deliver them. And if he uses you to do it, you're going to pick it up and say, oh, look what I got. God favors me. God doesn't favor anybody who doesn't love and glorify his Son. And in order to glorify his Son, you must, I mean, you must die to self. And the job isn't finished until God reveals to you that it's finished. So you can get tired and you can get weary and you can say, surely this is done, when it's not done at all. Think what you will with this message. Believe what you want with this message. But this is a message I got this morning. And this is a message that I believe can fill some of your hearts with truth. If any of your motives are out of course, you'll tangle it up and destroy yourself with it. Because the truth will stay with you until the grave. Now, there are those who are looking for the truth, but God is going to expect them to die to self and leave everything in the hands of God. Leave it alone. Don't touch that one. Don't touch that one. Don't fight with that one. Don't destroy that one. Leave it in the hands of God. I'm warning all of you. Not that it'll hurt him, not that it'll destroy his cause, not will it, but that you can destroy your own self. Two things: what you know and what you don't know. Those two things can destroy you. The one that says, I know everything, there is nothing more to know, that'll destroy you. The one that says, I can't find it, I don't know, God wouldn't give it. What you don't know, my people perish for their lack of knowledge of me. And for today, this is all I'm going to say to you, because this message and the fulfillment of it belongs to people who are way up in leadership. People who God hath called a long time ago. And unfortunately, for those that believe they're called, I'm not about to give you anything. And I told you once before, and this is what I say again. You could torture me and you can't get this out of me. You can cut me in a tiny bit of pieces, because there's no way it can come out of me except by God. Because it wasn't put into me by me. It wasn't put into my memory through studying the Word. It wasn't putting into my heart through anything. It was simply put there by God. And when he puts something inside of you, and it's like this, it's in you, he don't have to come out no matter what you do to me. I could open up my mouth and go, and nothing will come out. People actually think they could hypnotize you, and this is all craziness. This is all flesh. This is all, or they could give you a drug and the truth will come out. It won't. If you've got God, the truth will never come out unless God decides to use you to bring it out. Because that, I'm telling you, I warned all of you. I said this. I warned all leadership, everybody that sits and thinks that they've got God and that they could judge and condemn anybody or touch these messages. I warned you. I didn't play around. I warned you straight out. I said, you cannot deliver God unto Satan. So, him being in me, you can't turn me over. You can't bring demons upon God. You can't. The only thing you will do is tempt God. That's all you'll do. Like I said, when you call on the throne and you don't sojourn your time with fear and realize all these things you're doing over here and thinking and playing with, all of those things that you think you're going to manipulate him to answer your prayers. Oh my. Sometimes when you call on God, you literally call him and it opens up and he sees all of your hypocrisy, all of your lies, all the places you went, and you tempt him. That's why he said fear. You tempt him to deal with you at that moment. You tempt him. I'm done with this for today.